Greetings, viewers. Welcome to a new episode of Me on the Internet. Hello, I'm Ben. This is Black Metal and Brews, doing my first music video review. Not a review of a music video, but instead of writing out an album review by hand, I'm going to film a video because I have so many thoughts and I find sometimes it's really hard. I'm a formal writer, as many of you know, I'm sure. In speech I can be more casual. I don't know, clench my fist in the air because I'm frustrated that I can't express it. I'm not sure, but I can do a lot. Additionally, some of you may notice I'm often sipping beer in videos that I'm not reviewing beer in. It gives me something to fidget with. These are beers I'm typically planning to review, and I'm testing them out to see if they're worth reviewing, or just a beer I've been enjoying lately that maybe I already featured or something. Anyway, I just didn't want you guys to think I'm just drinking a beer for show, but not showing my hand. Today I thought it would be fun to kind of test the waters of doing video reviews with a review of something that is really exciting and important to me. The concept of authenticity in extreme and underground and cutting-edge music as a whole is really key for me as a reviewer, and I'm assuming for my audience as well. That said, there are times when an artist decides to shed what has been successful for them in favor of a different direction. I recently premiered a song on Noisy Vice's music website from the band Crowhurst, who have gone from a solo noise power electronics act to a psychedelic black doom noise band. Went well for them. Sometimes it doesn't go so well. You look at a band like Opeth, some people like what they've done. I loved them in my younger years, and I was really, and it's not about them getting pretty, but I like Damnation, maybe my favorite Opeth album. Opeth didn't do as well for me when they decided to go full-on prog rock. I still respect and enjoy what they've done. Not interested. Today, though, we're discussing the newest album from former black metal group Code, a collaborative effort from both Norwegian and musicians from the UK. I've been a fan of Code for a while. Their debut album, Nouveau Gloaming, is one of my favorite black metal albums in terms of the more polished, really intense, well-produced, kind of ambitious, almost progressive black metal. On that album you had, members of Vedbwenzende, Dodheimsgard, all coming together. You had, the kind of core lineup of Eort, Viper, also known as Vikotnik of DHG, and Kvost, also of DHG, now of Hexvessel and Beastmilk, Grave Pleasures, as it were. That project has changed its name. Code's first album was really potent, really just almost ambitious to a fault in a way, but in a great way. They took so many risks that really did pay off. They were really successful. There was a haunting, crackling atmosphere to songs like Brass Dogs, just a complete fury to others like Radium. Just absolutely mind-blowing black metal, haunting, memorable. There aren't many albums like it. They followed that up with an album called Resplendent Grotesque, which I feel like diluted some of the things that made it really good for me. They streamlined the black metal elements, and you had songs like Smother the Crones, which were really cool, and it had the kind of sing-along chorus. It still definitely had that atmosphere, and it was still a really good album, but it wasn't that mind-blowing album that preceded it. After that album, Code had some serious lineup changes, with Eort remaining the core founding member, if I recall. I may be wrong. But Kvost, the vocalist, left, as did Vikotnik Viper. Kvost was replaced by a fellow named Wacian, W-A-C-I-A-N. Couldn't tell you for the life of me. With a new lineup and a new singer in place, Code released Augur Nox in 2011, I want to say, maybe 2012. It was a good album. It was a really good album in some ways. You had songs like Garden Chancery and Trace of God, I want to say, which were really just great, anthemic. Wacian is a very different singer from Kvost, but still lots of passion. There was some of that, interestingly enough, after a member of Vedbwens departed, they kind of got, some of the songs had this like virus sort of inspiration. Really interesting stuff. As a complete album, I don't know if I'd listen to the whole thing through very often. It seemed to me that Code was perhaps hitting a stride, slightly more commercial, progressive black metal stuff. I'm sure, a lot of people really ate it up. That was a big album for the band, and deservedly so. For me, it wasn't the opus that I had been hoping, and admittedly I'm a bit of a fanboy for Faust, but even repeated listens, it wasn't as great. Nothing had come to that point to be as great as Nouveau Gloaming. This year, a couple months ago, I got word that Mutt, M-U-T, not Mutt like a dog, I'm not sure what it means, was coming out. And I'd heard that the band had entirely abandoned black metal in favor of kind of a progressive rock, post-rock sort of vibe. I'll admit, I thought that this was going to be the nail in the coffin for one of my favorite bands. I thought, God, this is just not going to do it for me. And I'll say, my first listen, I was very uncertain. A lot of the songs seemed to kind of start with attention, kind of go somewhere, but not really get where it was going. It was kind of a journey. A journey without end, directionless at times. And, I gave it a couple fair listens, and I, against my own, not intentions, but, imagination, I found myself just really in love with this album. I will not say that every song captivates me at all times, but there is something just so beautifully skeletal to these structures of these songs. The band had been hinting at this sound from day one in a way, and I feel like they kind of fully pieced together. They didn't need black metal. So many of the musicians came from a black metal pedigree, and they kind of unlocked something that I don't care for most prog rock. I don't care at all for most post rock. People who know me know this. Yet somehow a bunch of black metal dudes have come up with a better, more interesting way of doing it than most other bands in that genre. Maybe because I'm a black metal dude who doesn't have much interest in that stuff, but it's really interesting. Whether you've got the opening track on Blinding Larks, which kind of comes in with swelling guitars and kind of a jerky sort of rhythm to it, only to be stopped by, soothing crooning not in like a Tom Jones way, but like very, very just soothing, almost haunting vocals from Wassian. Really kind of calling it to not a stop but a slow as the band then works together to build back up. And that's exactly what it is. There's a dynamic, there's a cohesion to these songs. Especially because the way the song on Blinding Larks segues into the next song, they have a very predatory, slinking, lumbering flow of the song Undertone. You can tell that this is, it's committed. The album almost follows a narrative path it starts very human, very primitive and passionate, and by the end of the album it gets almost ghostly, almost like the narrator of the songs has committed himself. By the album's kind of, there's a point, the turning point, the only song to feature any harsh vocals, in fact, Affliction. Some of the most haunting melodies, in fact, a lot of the vocal melodies in this album are the sort of things that you'll find yourself, or at least I did, find myself humming a lot. It's the sort of album that makes you think you can sing, and you will probably sing along if you listen to it more than a couple times. I won't demonstrate for you, because you don't need it, and I don't want to embarrass myself. I'll include a Bandcamp link streaming the whole album in my post on blackmetalandbrews.com. But just, when Affliction hits, very kind of slow pickup, almost sultry sort of vocal delivery about just, it's hard to say. A lot of the lyrics are kind of cryptic or intentionally oblique, but almost about how the narrator of the song has been changed by whoever the subject of the song is, leading to a few otherworldly, kind of ghostly, haunting, directionless, but not musically, but the narrator feels directionless, lost, perhaps, songs. Whether it's just, there's, an endless sort of kind of feeling of like empty terrains, like deserts that used to be oceans on songs like The Inland Sea, which follows it. It was one of those songs that I initially couldn't stand on the album, but there's a desolation that really appeals to me. Or my two favorite tracks on the album actually are they're two of the closers. In fact, we got the song "Cocoon," which starts with some of the most punky drumming on the album, making me think upon first listen that it was going to be really high energy, but it's not. Again, the band often picks up a pace, and no matter what your brain tells you is going to happen, it's not what's going to happen, yet you can't imagine it being any other way once they've taken it to the logical conclusion that they found. And again, and this is one of the songs where I really feel, the closing lines, include like, "What does it matter if I'm distorted? I have you to compose me." Just clearly, by this point in the album, the protagonist, I don't think it's even a fluid story, but just the back end of the album seems heavy with these songs where the singer is just powerless, where the art just kind of has this flowing, just wave-like quality to it, with sadness driving it on, and it's haunting. The closing track on the album is probably the one that has stuck with me the most. It's called "The Bloom and the Blast," and in a lot of ways it could be used to describe this band's progression as they came out blasting and have blossomed into something beautiful from such wretched, ugly roots. Lyrically, it's a brilliant song. Musically, it's a brilliant song. I can't even put words to it, but I'm looking forward to it from the second I hit play every time I hear this album. But I don't skip any songs, even though I probably listen to this album more than I should. That's part of why I'm getting this review out there, so that I can finally move on to the next thing. And I still know I'll be listening to this. I never thought that a black metal band going post-prog would be the thing I want. It doesn't normally do well for me. And while I'm not sure if this album still lives up to what Nouveau Gloaming has been for me, because it's been that way for years, this is a really nice, natural evolution for a band that was already hinting at it with some of the more progressive moments on their last release. And I'd rather see them do this than put out another album of just kind of slicker, streamlined black metal with a few heavy choruses. I'd rather them just be themselves. And while, yes, I'd love, in my dream world where they'd actually play live somewhere near me, I'd love if they'd throw in songs like, A Teardrop Formed Asylum, which I know I'm getting that title wrong. I've been listening to it for years and I still can't remember. I think it, songs from the first album with their more epic feeling. I'd love to see those still as part of this band's set. I feel like, if anything, this band is finally equipped to deliver those sorts of songs and have them reach their full potency. In conclusion, Code's Mud is a fantastic album. It's out on Agonia Records currently, and while it may not initially seem to be an offering worth listening to if you're a black metal fan, I think it's really going to be one of those sleeper albums of the year for me. And if you give it a listen or two, you may find it's that way for you as well. Thanks for tuning in. Please let me know what you thought of this new format, and I will see you very soon. Cheers.